All right, so Thanksgiving's coming up,
Yeah.
and, we're all thinking about, pilgrims and turkeys and all that.
Hmm.
But what you might not be thinking about is prepping.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so we're going to do a deep dive today that was actually inspired by some listener feedback.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they said that they were really interested in both history
Okay.
and practical skills. And
I
so
like it.
we found this really cool presentation called What the Pilgrims Taught Us About Preparedness.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fascinating. And we also have some great information from Surviving What's Coming, which is a website by this guy,
Okay.
Coach Dex.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a look at the Pilgrims' experiences
Hmm.
and how those historical lessons about resourcefulness and
Right.
community can be applied to modern prepping.
I'm into it.
Yeah. So this presentation, what the Pilgrims taught us about preparedness, it kind of takes a different angle, the
Oh,
typical Thanksgiving story.
right.
It's not all like happy,
Yeah.
just feasted, and
Exactly.
it's like
More about
it really gets into like the nitty-gritty.
the struggles they went through.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then Coach Dex, he's got over a decade of experience with prepping,
Wow.
and he actually talks on his website
Oh.
about how he got into prepping.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he was living in a community, and a major storm knocked out power for days.
Oh, wow.
And it was like a real wake-up call for him.
Sure.
He was like completely unprepared.
You never know what can happen until it does sometimes.
Right.
Makes you think.
Yeah, it's like that whole idea of it's not if a disaster will happen, it's when.
Exactly.
And the Pilgrims definitely experienced that firsthand.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. They were completely uprooted from their homes,
Right.
traveling across the ocean.
In a tiny little boat.
Yeah, to this completely unknown land. I
Yeah.
mean, talk about unexpected disruptions.
For sure. And they had limited resources.
Right?
They had to deal with harsh weather conditions,
Yeah.
disease, cultural differences. I mean, you name it.
Yeah, you can't really get further from your comfort zone than that.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So how did they do it? How did they survive?
Well, the presentation really emphasizes their resilience, their teamwork, and their resourcefulness. They really had to rely on each other and their own ingenuity to make things work.
That's so interesting because Coach Dex actually talks about those same things, but in a modern context.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, he defines prepping as actively preparing for potential disasters or emergencies.
Okay.
And it's not just about stockpiling food and water, although that's important,
Right.
but it's also about developing practical skills.
Yeah.
Things like first aid gardening,
Sure.
basic repairs, learning how to make do with what you have.
Just kind of like a mindset shift too, right?
Exactly, like embracing that survival mindset that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, like the Pilgrims had to constantly think outside the box
Mm-hmm.
to overcome the challenges they faced. And Coach Dex argues that that same kind of thinking is essential for modern preppers too.
Totally. So in a way, the Pilgrims were like the original preppers,
Hey, in a sense, yeah.
right? I mean, they were definitely prepared for the unexpected.
Yeah, they had to be.
Okay, so we've talked about resilience, resourcefulness.
Yeah.
But let's talk about community, because both the presentation and Coach Dex really highlight the importance of community in prepping.
Oh, absolutely.
So how did the Pilgrims' sense of community help them survive? And how can we apply that to modern prepping?
Well, think about it. The Pilgrims relied on each other for support.
Right.
They shared their resources, they worked together to build their settlement, and they even learned from the indigenous people who were already here.
That's right. They had the Wampanoag tribe.
Exactly, and that collaboration was crucial to their survival.
So it's not just about hunkering down in your bunker with your own supplies.
Right. It's about recognizing that you're part of a larger network
Mm-hmm.
and that your chances of survival are much greater when you work together with others.
And Coach Dex even takes it a step further. He talks about how prepping can actually strengthen communities.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How's
Well, he encourages people to get to know their neighbors, to organize community preparedness groups,
okay.
to share skills and resources.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that old saying, it takes a village,
Yeah, I like that.
right? So prepping is not just about self-reliance.
Mm-hmm.
It's about building resilient and supportive communities.
I mean, that makes sense. It's like we can all learn from each other.
Exactly. And even if you don't consider yourself a full-blown prepper,
Yeah,
there are still things you can do to be more prepared and resourceful.
totally. Like learning basic first aid
Yeah.
or how to grow your own food or even just knowing where your water shutoff valve is.
Those are great ideas.
Right. And Coach Dex actually offers tons of practical advice on his website, like how to build an emergency kit.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. He has a whole section on emergency kits.
Yeah, and he even has tips on how to make the most of the resources you already have, like making meals with pantry staples.
Right. because prepping doesn't have to be expensive.
Exactly.
And you know what I love about Coach Dex is that he's not doom and gloom. Like, he's not trying to scare people.
Right.
He's just trying to empower them to be prepared.
It's about taking control of your own destiny.
Exactly. And it's about being proactive rather than reactive.
I like that. It's a positive spin on prepping.
Yeah, and I think the Pilgrims would agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, they faced incredible challenges,
Right.
but they were able to overcome them through their resilience, their resourcefulness, and their strong sense of community.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought.
Okay. Awesome.
Even if you don't go full-on prepper, what's one small step you can take today
Hmm.
to be more resourceful or more prepared or more connected with your community?
It's a great question.
Yeah, something to think about.
Something to ponder.
And if you want to learn more about Coach Dex and all of his amazing prepping tips,
Yeah.
you can check out his website at survivingwhatscoming.com.
Awesome. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's a great resource.